Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about KSI versus Dillon Danis. This fight just recently got announced on the Misfits card last Saturday. In all honesty, instead of Dillon Danis, I thought KSI was going to fight Tyron Woodley, so it came as a shock to me that he's going to fight Dillon Danis. I feel like this is the perfect fight for KSI because it brings the same skill level as KSI and it might bring in some pay-per-view numbers too. And Dillon Danis is a really good promoter too because this guy goes out of his way to fight all his opponents and enemies like Jake, Anthony Taylor, and KSI. I feel like this is a huge step-up fight for KSI because he just came off beating Swarms and Pineda, and as we saw from the fights, they weren't the best. So Dillon Danis is easily going to give KSI more problems than Pineda and Swarms did. And in terms of which of KSI's opponents were tougher, Logan or Dillon Danis, I feel like Logan was tougher because Logan is bigger and he's just way better than Dillon Danis in general. But I know Dillon Danis is going to take this serious because if he wins this, his credit is going to go way up and KSI is going to go way down. And of course, Dillon wants to put KSI's career in a grave. And looking at some of Dillon Danis's highlights and his training, like he's not even that bad of a fighter. I feel like he's really overhyped because he overhypes himself, but he's actually a decent fighter. But if KSI loses this fight against Dillon Danis, this cannot be good for him at all because his whole career is based on not losing. He hasn't lost once and he always says, I can't lose, I can't lose. So if he were to lose to a guy like Dillon Danis, he'd get clowned by everyone. He'd get clowned by Jake, he'd get clowned by the whole MMA community and all the boxing community. If he loses, honestly, I feel like it might be his career over. So this is a major risk for KSI, but the whole point of this next fight that he's having is so that it's a challenge for him. And this fight is happening on January 14th on Misfits 4. I think the undercard fights are going to be stacked. I feel like there's going to be King Kenny, FaZe, Temper, Salt, Poppy, all these big names. I feel like they're going to be on the card and it's going to be one of the best cards of like all of YouTube boxing history. It's a shame that Logan couldn't be on it because he tore like his ACL and all this other stuff in his leg, but the undercard fights are still going to be stacked. And my prediction for KSI versus Dillon Danis is a KSI knockout. That's the only way KSI is going to get respect in the boxing scene. He has to completely lay out Dillon Danis on the canvas, bro. And I feel like KSI is going to train really hard to accomplish that. And in terms of what round it will be, I feel like it'll probably be in like round 4 because Dillon Danis probably can take bangs because he's an MMA fighter. But I do not think it's going to the decision. And if it does, then it's unanimous to KSI. Hopefully I'm right. I know a lot of people want me to be right in this situation because I want KSI to win. I don't want no prick like Dillon Danis to win. Everyone hates Dillon Danis with what he does, what he says, and just everything about him overall. And in terms of KSI's pathway to fight Jake Paul, I feel like Dillon Danis is the perfect fight for the pathway because Dillon had a lot of beef with Jake Paul in the past and there was serious negotiations about Jake Paul versus Dillon Danis, but it just never happened. So KSI beating Dillon, it could catch the eye of Jake, and KSI versus Jake Paul, we might see it sooner. You never know in the YouTube boxing scene, as everyone says. But yeah, that's my thoughts on KSI versus Dillon Danis. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and peace.